So I'm 25 years old, fourth property now.
Good shit, bro. Where'd you buy it?
So I've just bought it in Melbourne,
Yeah.
in Laverton. Across all my properties, I've got still original character style homes. They've got good land components, good growth. What I want to know is how to properly execute a granny flat strategy across of them. Adding a granny flat is a bit challenging to do with the banks. So suppose I just want to know what your process is, because I'd probably need about a 50% deposit on adding those granny flats. And
Who said that?
My broker did, because they don't value very well.
They val up just fine if you've got the right properties. Like how much of the property is worth that you've purchased?
Not overall,
per property. Yeah.
The three that I've got, excluding the one that's under contract, the first one's about 535, and I've got a loan of 500. That's in Adelaide. All three of them are in Adelaide.
Okay.
So the first one is worth 535. The loan is 500 grand. The second one is worth about 650, and the loan on that is about 450. The third one, I think it's worth about 520, and the loan would be 425.
Granny flats may or may not work in those locations. If they're worth 500 grand and a property in the area that's got a granny flat's worth 600 grand, obviously, if it costs you 200, 250 to build a granny flat, you might have to put in more capital. So it definitely works, but it just comes down to the individual properties themselves. You probably wouldn't spend what we spend on granny flats in those locations. You'd probably do them much cheaper and much more spec.
What sort of range can those granny flats go from, I suppose? What's a reasonable price for building a granny flat? Because I know you spent 250, but I don't know.
Well, 250, it's still not expensive when you look at all the shit that goes into doing one. You could probably get away with like a spec removable home or something like that for 100, 150. But when you then go add in your planning, fucking engineering, that just costs money.
I have done some numbers on it, and I do believe I will get a good return on a granny flat, all those locations, because they're not bad locations, even though the values are lower now. I do believe they'll grow in the future. They'll keep growing. So I want to hold it, but I want to get more cash flow out of what I have. So that's why I'm looking to do this, I suppose.
Go and try it on whatever the best property is. Go and build a granny flat on it. That's what you got to do. You just got to try and test and see what happens. You need to get one approved first. You go through planning, get it approved through council. Get a fixed price building contract from a granny flat provider, then take that to your broker, get it valued, and then you'll get the answer to your question. Everything's hypotheticals until then.
How best to get finance for that granny flat, because I can't put up that much cash.
Your broker's already saying that based on a hypothetical. He doesn't know, because the reality is, if your as if complete valuation comes in $250,000 more than what you pay for the property, you don't have to put in 50%. He's assuming that the valuation will come in shit. I don't know the market. I don't know where you buy it. I don't know how well he knows it. And if you can't build it right away, then you just leave the approval sitting there, and then you come back in time, and then once the property's grown in value more, you can use the equity to fund that shortfall.